Hi there. Welcome. I'm Bob Thompson, and I'd like to welcome you to the world of college cost challenges. Now, I want to know if you're keeping score, and I want to know what's your handicap. You know, a couple days ago, I happened to see I was switching back and forth between a hockey game and a hockey game here, and I'm flipping through there, and I see the Masters, and this is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm seeing Tiger address the ball, putts about a 20-foot putt, he misses it by a little bit, and I'm thinking, oh, the Masters started early because of weather warnings and so on, and they had threesomes instead of twosomes, and I watched the other two putt out, and Tiger puts in a 2-foot putt and wins the Masters, and people are going crazy. I mean, the gallery, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, and Tiger's going crazy, and you know, he won his 5th Masters, and he's between Jack and Arnie. And I'm thinking, whoa, this is a big time in sports. And I thought, you see the big scoreboard on the 18th hole, and you got all the numbers and people, what round, what they're shooting, and so on. I mean, this is big stuff. And TV, there were more people watching the Masters than, the Academy Awards, of course. So I just thought I'd kind of go with the theme here and ask, are you keeping score? Are you keeping score? Now, in all of my golf playing, extensive worldwide golf playing, I get out the scorecard here, and I'm thinking, all right, we got a couple of par 5s and a lot of par 4s, and then you got the par 3, and just over there, over the water, but you got to keep score. You got to keep score, and if you got a foursome that's out there, and you got 2 buggies and everything, and the golf course, one's driving, one's kibitzing, and so on, and looking for the beer cart, and so on. So one of the non-driver is keeping score, and keeping the other part of the foursome, keeping them honest and watching their thing. But anyway, you got to keep score. And I'm thinking, a lot of the other sports, we got 9 innings in baseball, right? You got 4 quarters in football. Hockey, I mean, you got 2 halves there, or 3 periods, I'm sorry, when you're talking about hockey. So, but you've got to keep score. And in golf, you've got 18 holes. The 19th hole over here is after you've bragged about, I got a birdie on number 6 and this and that, but you notice that I've got everything here. This glove I use when I'm driving, and my approach, fairway irons, but you got to wear a glove. You got to wear a glove. And then I know now that when you get off the golf court and you take your putter up, but you take the glove off and you put it in your right rear pocket there. So over the years, I've really learned the game, and this is a sleeve, and these are good balls. These are good balls, and I also learned that you use the good balls when there's not any hazard that you're going to pop a good ball in the water or in the woods or something like that. So you take a good sleeve and you have some backups because you're going to lose a couple balls and everything. And then when you get to where your confidence is lacking, and you go down into the bag and you pull out an old ball because you know you're going to lose that one, right? But you got to know the clubs, and what I was looking at here while you came on air was, this is a driver, and I like the weight, and it feels good. It feels good. But I've got some others that these are the good golfers, and they've got not just a little tee, but they've got a big tee, and they take one of these big Berthas out, and I mean these drivers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I think someday there's going to be a robot out there that's going to hit the ball for me, and that'll probably bring my score down a little bit. But I want to know if you're keeping score, and I want to know what your handicap is. Now, when you hit that driver, and by the way, I'm in front of the women's tee. In fact, I'm so far ahead in the fairway, I'm throwing the ball to get to the second shot, and then my approach, I got a pitching wedge here that I never knew what the pitch was, but if you can put the ball up there on the green in less than 9 or 10 shots, and then you get out your favorite gold-plated putter, and you get in that hole in under 12. That's my mission. Is I've hit a couple 14 or 15s, but you've got to be a good putter. You got to finish the hole or the round, and when you're in the backside, I kind of get tired and I want to stay in the golf cart. But today we're talking about the world of college cost challenges, and I'm saying, are you keeping score? And what's your handicap? So let's, by the way, this is not a legal PGA bag, okay? I've got 11 drivers. I've got about 26 clubs in here, and I think that's over the limit for PGA sanction. And I forgot to tell you that, and I don't know who I borrowed this bag from. I think it was Rob, but I forgot the tees, and this bag has more pockets. I mean, I'm afraid what you might find in some of these pockets, but I put my hand down in here and I just grabbed a fistful of tees. There must be 1,000 tees in this bag, and I'm thinking, okay, you lose balls, and when you scalp this thing and you break a tee, you need a lot of tees, but 1,000 tees? I'm thinking, whoa. I'm really not into golfing, if you can tell. They pay me not to play at a charity outing. The golf course pays me, and they say, let's cut out the middleman. You drive the cart, don't play, and we'll put your $100 into charity, so it kind of save the course that way. Now, the world of college cost challenges, are you keeping score? Now, if you've watched before, we take 2 stages, dimensions or whatever, conventional 50, 60 years of save early, save a lot. That's the advice that's given to every young couple, early stage parents, I call them. And if you save early and you save a lot, you may have a chance to have enough money and not bankrupt yourself or the student or what have you by the time that the student goes to college. Save early and save a lot. The problem is financial planning, banks, mutual funds, you name it, have not done a very good job in helping parents or students. We have $1.5 trillion of student loan debt. There are people out there that think that maybe the parent debt approaches half of that. So you have a lot of college-related debt, and yet we're not preparing our parents and the students to get to a successful point, if you will. And not, when I say not bankrupt, the parent is affecting their retirement. by the way they approach college costs. And the student may be going to a very, very expensive school where when they get out of school, getting a job, they have no possible way of paying off that student loan debt. So there are a lot of players in the dynamic, and that's why this chapter in the book, The World of College Cost Challenges, that we're trying to present in this TV program, a chapter or 2 or 3 chapters, and trying to share with you what other parents have contributed. 80% of this book coming out are stories and anecdotes of parents sharing with parents. 80% of this are parents' stories and contributions of what to do right, what to do, avoid doing something wrong, and successfully attack this challenge. I'd like to go to the 4th dimension, if you will, the 4th stage of what we think is an attractive direction or guide for parents, how to do it better, how to be more efficient in this process. If we do it more efficiently, there's less impact on my retirement parent or on the student debt. Less debt is good. No debt is by far better, right? So if we go through 1, 2, 3, 4, in our past programs, we've talked about the 7 dimensions. The first dimension scares the heck out of everybody, and that's having a plan in writing. And we go from having a plan in writing to the second, which is adjustment. We take care of going from 2 family income to 1, maybe 1.5 or something like that. But we go through diapers and having a newborn and then daycare and that kind of thing. So stage or phase 2 is the adjustment period. And 3 is funding, whenever it starts, how much it is, and so on. But I want to concentrate on the 4th stage of the 4th dimension. And part of it is keeping score and what's your handicap. If I'm aware of what other families have done, good and bad, ugly in between, if my awareness level is up here and I can avoid some of those mistakes, it really goes to the bottom line. Let's look at the 4th stage, and after the written, after the adjustment period, and after the funding. We talk about keeping score and what's your handicap. In the 4th stage, we talk about monitoring where I am, the direction I'm going in, how much have I funded, how much do I need to fund, all of these variables, okay? But we add some parts of it that we think are pretty unique, proven strategies, proven tools, if you will, that have helped parents through that 7-stage, process. The 4th dimension in monitoring is we send your 3-year-old to college this fall. Next year, we send your 4-year-old to college at age 4. At age 5, 6, 7, 8, we send your child to college that fall. Now, I can make 1, 2, 3, 5 mistakes. I can make 10 mistakes. I can make 17 mistakes. But if I go through this whole process and make 21 or 22 mistakes, I really didn't care about what happens. I really don't care how poorly we address the problem. I'm just, hey, que pasa? It happened. It happens to everybody. Stuff happens, okay? But if we send that 3-year-old to college this year and send again next year, and by the way, little Johnny has a sister, and Susie, now newborn, not one yet, we send both children to college this fall. Next year, age 4 and 2, and so on and so on. Every year, we send that child or children to school. Every year, okay? So, are you keeping score? I didn't know. And one of the quotes that I have in the book, several times I put it in there, is we didn't know what we didn't know. And that comes from, and I can't, we don't have real names in the book, but that comes from a gentleman down on the shore here in Connecticut, if you're watching this somewhere else. We didn't know what we didn't know. And I thought, that's pretty profound. And when you ask, what is it that you know now that you didn't know then? Well, it's something like the strategy of getting away from a mindset. I'm wired in the early stages, and years later, and years later, years later, I am obsessed, okay, with qualifying for financial aid. I get on the internet, I get onto calculators, and instead of being good for the young parents, it is presenting a mission impossible. So I add on to human nature, natural procrastination, and I become a Rip Van parent, where 14, 16 years later, I suddenly wake up to what I call the P&C stage, panic and crisis stage, at sophomore year, junior year in college. Oh my goodness, little Susan is going to go to college. In fact, we've set aside a couple weekends where we're going to go visit colleges. And she's going to get an opportunity to see the campus and do tours and ask questions and so on and so on. Whoa, surely we'll qualify for financial aid, right? But other parents that have attacked this challenge, that sent little Johnny to college at age 3 and 4 and 5, and then son and daughter, maybe 3 children. I kind of get away from this mindset that we're going to qualify for financial aid, and surely, it's not going to cost us as much, okay? Then we get a segment of parents over here that think little Susan is going to get a full scholarship on lacrosse team. Johnny's going to be a soccer superstar, and we got little Paul over here that's going to be an All-American, and but we go through these and we say, surely we're going to have this. But if I send those children to school every year, I know the moving parts, and I'm familiar with it. It doesn't take a lot of time, but I know in this phasing as it evolves, the moving and changing parts, it's not sticker shock to me, but if I'm aware, I bring my awareness level up here, that at Johnny's age 6, our income is higher, but I'm also aware the cost of college is higher, and I'm also aware that our income, our adjusted gross income, when we have 2 kids and 1 child in school, that the expected family contribution is, we're not going to qualify for much student aid, are we? But we put it in context of that year. And next year, I get a promotion. I'm getting some bonuses. I changed jobs. Now I'm in a different situation, but as I monitor and I'm keeping score and I know what the handicaps are, okay, it's amazing when you watch parents go through this process that all of a sudden they're in control, they're empowered more with this awareness factor, okay? Now, on the third hole, or the fifth hole that's a dog leg left, and I've got to avoid 3 sand traps in the fairway here, and my approach shot, I've got to get it over the water, but here's another 2 or 3 sand traps in front of the hole. I've got hazards all over the place, okay? Oh, and I can't do it here because Karen wouldn't let me bring in grass, but if I throw up some blades of grass and see how the wind's blowing, I've got these hazards that, affect my game. Well, in the college cost challenge world, I didn't know what we didn't know. And we have something that we call the nickel plan. And each year, as we do this expected family contribution, what we call a financial aid probability analysis report. As we're aware of that, and I'm also presented, which I have in my personalized plan, is to annually look at a nickel plan. And a nickel plan, this goes back 35 or 40 years ago, and if you were looking at a previous program where I talked about Ted in Toledo, Ohio, who owned 2 or 3 located furniture store locations, and Ted, the grandfather, wanted to help his 2 children, his 2 daughters, with grandchildren's education, college education. And Ted back then said, my one daughter is a school teacher, and she and her husband don't make much money, and the other daughter is in a similar situation, social work, whatever. And Ted, the grandfather, wanted to put some money away. So we started Ted off and came back to Ted the following year and said, Ted, grandfather, here's our concept of the nickel plan. Can you increase your $25 a month to $30? Increase it by $5. Now we've taken the experience with Ted, very successful experience, over the years of that approach, and applied that to parents every year. So I can increase, I have the option, increase my contribution into a 529 plan by $5. And every time I say that at seminars or whatever, people, oh, that won't even pay for books. And we have parents that come back and say, well, can we increase it by $50 a month or something like that? But it's usually more than that antiquated $5 where we got the nickel plan title. So when we look at increasing it by $5, or you increase it by the percentage of income, your increase in your income percentage, and we take that percentage and we increase your contribution into the 529 plan. Or you increase it by the consumer price index, another percentage, very similar in many cases to the wage increase. Or you do nothing, you don't increase it at all, okay? So we go through these steps, okay, and we take the driver when we start funding, and we take the iron midway in the fairway, and then we get to the approach, and I hit either a sand wedge or a pitch, and I put it on the green, and I've gone through, 15, 16, 17, or maybe just 6. But the point is, every year I've attacked the expectation, false expectation, of we're going to qualify for more financial aid because of our income or because of an overlap of years of our children. I've got a better idea. I mean, we've got intelligent people who go through this process and they blow the whole thing. and it affects their retirement, and their children live with student debt that in many cases can either be minimized or eliminated, okay, by just simply following through on these steps. So the financial aid probability analysis report every year and the nickel plan every year, we avoid these problems of, wow, we should have been saving another $25 a month. Now people laugh at that and say, what is $25 a month? What we're all about here when we look at the 4%, the magic 4%, that take these good tools and strategies and so on, we take what the 4% have learned, okay, and say, hey, for this other 90-some%, here's what they've done, and here's what you can do also, okay? Same money, same standard of living, same obligations, same soccer camps, music lessons. So everything is the same, and you have two couples. And actually, we have three couples through the process. We talk about the people that have no plan, about 22 to 24%, and this has not changed in 30, 35 years. We take this large middle group of informal planning, we call it, and they're about 72%, 74%, and we've got this remaining group of 4%. And we have families, and we share stories of people in each of those three categories. And we say, what can we learn? Well, if you're keeping score, know thyself, Socrates. Know thyself, all right? Cicero, control thyself. You know, these are basic human behavioral factors that can greatly impact our success or failure or something in between as we address the world of college cost challenges. And I can say by that awareness level, that scale, that I've increased this. I will have to say we didn't know what we didn't know, okay? So are you keeping score, and what's your handicap? If you're not keeping score, you have no plan at all, or if your informal plan is not keeping up to date, okay, then your handicap is like my golf game. If I get under 120, I dream of being under 100. That ain't gonna happen, okay? You know, I can't go through life with this white glove on unless I want to sing and dance a little bit. So are you keeping score? And every once in a while, know thyself and what your handicap is, okay? Better shooting, better golf. Come back again. Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.